Hello and welcome to an honest walkthrough and review of Odeon Chamber Strings by Insanity Samples. Link is in the description. This will require the full version of Contact, bear that in mind. Intro price £125, which is really good because the full price is £249. And for that, you're getting 16 players, 4 first violins, 3 second violins, 3 violas, 3 celli, 3 double basses. Now, you're not getting solo instruments, those are individual patches. So one patch is your first violin, your other patch is your second violin, then you've got your violas, cello, double bass, etc. You're also getting an ensemble patch, violins 1 and 2 in octaves, and basses and celli in octaves, which is really handy to have because most of the time you are using those in octaves, I find, so something quick and easy to use, and of course an ensemble patch on top of it. Now you are getting 18 articulations, which is absolutely crazy. If we actually just jump straight into the library and show you, this is the first violin. You can see right there the amount of articulations you're getting. Of course, your standard longs, you're getting some crescendo, staccato, staccatissimo, spiccatos, collegno, pizzicato, bartok, pizzicato, trills, flatandos, tremolos, harmonics. You're getting lots of articulations. These are consistent. There's a true legato button up at the top, an adaptive legato, so it will move between the fixed fast, fixed slow, adaptive velocity. Really, really handy there. Legato velocity as well, which is cool. Mixes is absolutely crazy. You're getting 7 different signals. Everything from decretries, outriggers, ambience, close. You get 3 different closes. Pencil, ribbon, and condenser. That's, my screen's a mile away from me. And you're getting their own mix as well. You're getting vibrato control as well. They've also got some performance stuff over here. So if you click on that, it does this really cool little thing. Now you're probably thinking, what is going on with the user interface? Well, there's a lovely little information button up here, which will take you through absolutely everything. I'm not going to walk you through everything because they've spelled out very plainly and easily. And in all honesty, I picked it up rather quickly. And if you need help, lovely little information button. But you can see there is so much going on here with the mixes, the effects, the EQ. So it's got to be good, right? Okay, what we're going to do, we're going to jump into Logic. And as you can see on my screen, I've created a very quick legato long. I've just used string longs because I feel this demonstrates it very well. I will go through all the articulations, timestamps at the bottom, so if you want to skip to that. But we're going to compare Odeon Chamber Strings, this library, against the exact same thing I've copied into BBC Symphony Orchestra Pro. I say Pro because that's what I'm using, but you can achieve the exact same thing with BBC Symphony Core because I'm just using the main mix that you get with that, and then the legatos for each instrument except the celli. I'm just using their longs. And then I've also thrown it into the Berlin Free Orchestra that's been recently released. I literally just copied and pasted it. You can probably see word for word, and listen to each one and then let me know down in the comments what you think. So starting with the library that we're reviewing, Odeon Chamber Strings. Now it is worth noting everything was just out of the box. I didn't mess with all the settings, specifically with the Odeon Chamber Strings, which this was specifically composed for. I'm using the mix that it comes out of the box. They do have their own mix as well. And you probably noticed with the BBC Symphony Orchestra Pro, the velocity was a bit on the extreme, well, dynamics were a bit on the extreme side. So obviously there's more layers there. While if we look into what's going on here, I did control both the vibrato and dynamics. You can see we are going more to the extreme. If we just solo that, and then compare that, the exact same thing with the second violin from BBCSO. You've got a lot more flexibility in terms of dynamics with BBCSO, so it does sound a little bit off, but I wanted a word for word. You will find with Berlin Free Orchestra as well, the bass doesn't go as low as the other basses, which is odd, but there you have it. But what do you think of the sound? To me, it sounds a bit too central. Everything sounds like it's stereo, but in the middle. The orchestra doesn't feel correctly placed. It feels a bit odd in the space. That's my probably biggest qualm with this, is when you compare it to similar things, it just, to me, it doesn't quite sit right. And that's my own honest opinion. Now, that being said, let's let the samples speak for themselves and go through all the different articulations and the different instruments and really let this thing shine. We'll also check out the mixes as well, and we'll do that on the staccato. But we'll start with our first violins. Of course, with true legato on. Expressive longs. With true legato on, I like the fact that you can turn that on for everything there or have it off. Really nice feature. And just to really show you the extent actually of the vib, lots of flexibility there. I really like the fact there's vib control. This button right here is the infinite button. Essentially what it does, it gives you an attack, an accent on your long sound, and it's with all your shorts. So instead of just a spiccato, you have a spiccato with a long. It just gives you that really nice initial attack instead of... And you have that with all your short sounds. Really nice added feature to this library. And now this is a really good time to look at our different mixes. So starting left to right with our decatry, and we'll make sure our reverb is completely off as well, so they actually are what they say they are. I'm not overly impressed with the mic positions. They need more release, very obviously, and I'm trying to see where I can actually add that. There probably is somewhere, but not somewhere off the bat. It'd be nice to have an attack, decay, sustain, release, just so I can add a little bit more and not have to have a reverb on or hold it to the end. But overall, not too impressed with those. Let's turn our reverb back on. You do have a choice of different reverbs and a delay and stereoization there if you really want it to add a bit more spread, which I feel it does need ever so slightly. Right, moving on to clarinet leg no. That's a quick flash through of the articulations you're getting with the first violin. Second violin is very similar, as you can see there. And again, we're just using the out of the box mix that they have. And for this, I just want to show you their performance 1 and 2 as well. This is pretty cool, and it depends on your velocity. So that's what's going on there with these bits here, is velocity. So if you play lightly, you're going to play your trills. If you play in the middle, your longs. If you play hard, your spiccato. That then moves into your longs. So that's your performance 1, performance 2. Which is a really cool feature, and of course you can actually make your own. If you just go on to overlay and turn on what you want, you can quite literally create some very interesting textures. So that's a really cool feature that I love about this library, but the sounds are very consistent with the first violin, so we are just going to swiftly move on to our violas. And expressive longs is probably my favorite articulation, just because it makes life easy. But again, the space is just not sitting right with me. Moving on to our celli. I'm not seeing much difference between the staccatissimo and the spiccato there. Flautando is definitely my second favourite articulation of the library. Beautiful sound. It's just a shame about the space. Like, if that was a bit more intimate and real, I don't know. I'm just off-put ever so slightly by the sound, but at the same time, I like the technique. It just, something doesn't quite sit right with me. There is your celli, double basses. Trying to make that sound just a little bit better, in all honesty. Right, moving on to our ensemble patch. A little bit of everything here, which is nice to see. The low end doesn't sit well in the mix in terms of that ensemble. That's a lot better. I love the expressive longs. They really are quite beautiful out of the box. I do like the pitch chaos one. That is cool. What is nice about the ensemble patch is you can affect how it's all mixed together. So if you want like that first one, I wasn't quite happy with how the basses sounded. You can bring them back. So it's really nice to see that feature in the ensemble patch. They've not just stuck all the mic positions, they've actually given you control over each section as well as its placement in the mix. Next, you have your 2 octave patches with your violins 1 and 2, which is this one. Pretty self-explanatory. I don't need to go through all the articulations. I think you get a gist of how this library sounds, and then last but not least, you get that bass and celli octave sound, which I feel nice again that you can mix between the two, but you don't have the same flexibility as all the other mic positions. But that's not the end of the world in all honesty. It's quite a good mix actually, but for something quick and easy, that is a nice feature. Nice that you're getting 8 different patches. But what is my overall thought of this library? It's ambitious. It's really ambitious, and I want to like it. On paper, it has everything. 7 signals, a plethora of articulations, vibrato control, all your individual instruments, as well as an ensemble patch, and then the octaves in terms of the bass and celli and the 2 violins. But the space, it just doesn't quite sit right with me, especially when we had that side-by-side comparison. Obviously, BBC Symphony Orchestra sounded better. Now, in terms of prices of these different libraries, obviously Berlin Free Orchestra is completely free. Odeon Chamber Strings, £125 intro, £249 full price. Although you can pick up BBC Symphony Orchestra Core, which you can do exactly what I did there, for £239 currently on sale. Full price is £399. So I really feel Odeon Chamber Strings versus BBC Symphony Orchestra Core is a good comparison. Not only do you have the strings, but you also have other instruments. So £399 compared to £249. For an extra £150, you're getting the rest of the orchestra as well. So I feel that library stacks up quite nicely against Odeon Chamber Strings. But let me know your thoughts down in the comments. Again, I want to like this library. Everything on the paperwork tells me it should be good, but the sound, again, doesn't sit right with me, and that's my final verdict. But again, links in the description. If this is a sound you do like, be my guest to tell me no, you're wrong in the comments, and be my guest to buy it. £125 for a full string library is not bad. But again, thank you so much for watching. I'll see you in the next video.